Hey everybody, it's David from David in Progress, where we talk about financial independence and retiring early from the perspective of someone who is giving it a try. I'm in the first year of that retire early, and I've got a bunch of videos to talk about how we got here. Today, I wanted to talk about perhaps what could go wrong. I've been thinking a lot about this, and so we're going to talk about 5 things that could derail our plan for early retirement. The first one's kind of obvious. It's the finance side of it. Do we have enough money to sustain us, not only this year, that's pretty easy, but for years afterwards? I'm only 56, so there is a long bridge between now and when we would have access to Social Security, Medicare, and those type of things. So how in the world are we going to do it? And what would happen if we were to run out? Well, I have some advantages, and these are things that are really important. Number one, I've been thinking about this for a very long time. I've read, I've studied books, I've listened to podcasts, and in the future, I'm going to share those, the ones that have been most important to me and most impactful. So I feel like I have a pretty good foundation of education on what's going to happen on the money part. The other thing, which I think is incredibly critical, is that we are 100% debt free. We have lived in this house for a long time and we paid it off in 2014. So imagine having no mortgage, which is fantastic. It doesn't mean you have no expenses. There is insurance and taxes and maintenance and all those things. So you're not living for free. So you got to make sure that you've got that part figured out. But being debt free, I think, gives us a tremendous advantage. And so the other thing, besides being educated and not having any debt, is to understand your expenses and have that planned out. I do have a pretty good idea what our expenses are going to be this year, and we've set some boundaries of not going outside that. Uh, of course, there's going to be unexpected things. So, for example, we just recently remodeled our bathroom, and it cost probably about twice as much as what I was thinking, even though we did the work mostly ourselves. So running out of money, that is the first thing. The second thing is being prepared for the next stock market crash. It's bound to happen. All of our savings, we don't have real estate, I don't have a pension, I obviously don't have Social Security or anything like that. All of our savings is wrapped around the stock market and how it performs. And there is going to be a crash. I'm not saying it's going to happen this year in 2024, but it will happen sometime. It always does. So you and we have to be prepared for when that happens. And there are quite a few strategies, because when you are early retired, you are no longer receiving an income. That's quite obvious. But the mindset has to change. The mindset over these last several years, as well as strategy, has been about acquiring wealth. Well, now we need to protect that wealth and be okay with seeing the balances go down a little bit over time while you're spending from it. So I've got a strategy in my mind and in our actual finances of be prepared for that next stock market crash. And that's also something we'll talk about on a future video. The third thing, which is especially important from my perspective as a cancer survivor, is healthcare and a health crisis. Now, I'm no longer going to have company provided healthcare, and I'm too young for Medicare. And so there's always the potential for something catastrophic to happen. So this first year, we're using COBRA. When you leave a company, you have access to COBRA for up to 18 months. And basically, you're paying the full price for the health insurance, which when I did my research was actually cheaper than the open market, which is pretty great. But I have to be prepared, especially as a cancer survivor, for things to go wrong. And so I have a rather significant emergency fund set aside just for the what ifs from a medical thing. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is loss of purpose and boredom. When you have a job, you have a purpose. You have something that you do. When somebody comes and asks you, hey, what do you do? Hopefully you have a pretty good thing to say, well, this is what I do. And that was something really big for me. I always had a purpose statement, something I could say about what I do and how I impact the world through my work. And now I don't have that. I have people who ask me, hey, what do you do? And my answer right now is rather awkward. So I'm working on a new purpose statement on what I'm doing during this time. The other thing is boredom. A lot of times people have this image of retirement as taking these big fancy trips and doing all, really neat things, which we're going to be doing some of that, but that is not every day. It's the in-between time that you also have to make sure that you fill. And when you're used to being active every day and getting up and being on a schedule, going to work and compartmentalizing things into your weekends and evenings, it's kind of hard to fill the time. And that's something that we're working on. And I think the fifth thing is fear and the what ifs. I mentioned that basically when I talked about finances. I mentioned the what ifs when it came to my health and our health. There's a lot of what ifs and fears. And I think the fear and the what ifs is what keeps a lot of people from doing this, from pulling the trigger. There are people that are absolutely miserable in their jobs, yet they stay in it because they're afraid of the what ifs. What if I run out of money? What if I have a medical situation? What if I get too bored? And what if I lose my purpose? Uh, that is real and it is true. I am choosing to embrace the fear, to be open about it, to work on it. And thankfully, I've had years to think about it. And so that is the fifth thing. And I think it's a very important thing to overcome. So we're going to embrace the fear and we are going to overcome it. So those are my 5 things. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in retiring early or retirement, and you probably have some fears too. If you made it this far, I would love to hear from you. First of all, give me a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, all that stuff that everybody tells you on these videos. But more importantly, I'd love to hear from you. So what do you fear about retirement, whether it be traditional or early? What are some things that are holding you back that you have concerns? As you put those down, we're going to talk about it. And we'll make some videos coming up to address some of those fears. Meanwhile, as this year goes by, I'm going to show you and talk to you directly about my list of 5 and things that perhaps I didn't think about that I will add to. So that's it. Thank you so very much for watching. As I said previously, please like, subscribe if you got any value from this. Also, I love to hear from you. I love comments. I love answering the comments and having a conversation with you about your retirement, your quest for financial independence, and where you are in your journey. Thanks for watching.